The first thing I want to do is I want to welcome everybody to the City Club of San Francisco's Shelter in Place series of cooking demonstrations. I don't even know which one we're on, but I'm super, super excited this week because we're going to be doing, which one is it? Three. Is it three?
Yes,
just three?
Yeah.
God, it seems like so many more. Okay, so, but it's been a blast. So this is our third one, and this recipe is one of my favorites. I don't know if you noticed the play on words. Oh, thank you. I had to pause for my. I hope everybody's got their adult beverage. So
that's
required. Yeah. So this is my quarantini. And yeah, it's very, very important. If you'll pause with me for a moment, I'm feeling parched.
Pause for a moment.
Oh, so much better.
Thank you.
I feel invigorated. So I'm super, super excited about this recipe because I call it the Oodles of Noodle bowls as opposed to Oodles of Noodles, because truly there's not a ton of noodles in it, but the recipe is so versatile that you can do any kind of protein, any kind of noodle, you can make it whatever you want. And so it's a really, really easy to work with recipe. And so we've done steak noodle bowls, we've done pork noodle bowls, we've done chicken noodle bowls, we've done vegetarian spring roll noodle balls, and then we've done combo noodle balls. I mean, we've done everything. And so
have you done vodka bowls?
Not yet. We've not done vodka bowls yet, but that's.
I think that's next.
Put that on the list. I think that should be next, right? And the really, really cool thing is if you're short for time, it's not a difficult recipe, and you can do parts of it in advance. You can do whatever, but you can literally have this on your table in as quickly as 30 minutes. I usually do everything, all at the same time. So it takes me 30, 45 minutes or so, but it's a great, and it's a fun meal. It's really, really neat. So I hope y'all will enjoy that. I want to thank the City Club for having me come. I'm Philip Archer. I'm the founder of the Living Richly brands, which include Living Richly Real Estate out of Texas, Roaming Richly Travel all over. We've got offices in Houston, Dallas, Las Vegas, and I run San Francisco. And Philip Archer's Living Richly Omnimedia, which used to do my radio and television show in Dallas, and anytime I do speaking engagements and stuff like that, we do it through that company. So thrilled to be here. Love being a member of the City Club. I want to acknowledge some people really, really quickly that we can clap and say thank you to. The first ones are my gals, Gwen and Marie, who are on here, and they make sure that we're set up and ready for this and we can go every day. So thank you, Gwen and Marie. Yay.
We're so happy to have you.
And I also want to thank our wonderful board at the City Club, because I don't know what other clubs are doing, but our board has kept us engaged, and so they're making sure that even though we cannot go and visit and socialize in person, that we have the opportunity to do things like this. And we've got a cocktail series, and we've got a book club, and they've moved as much of our activities online as possible. And so I just want to acknowledge them and thank them for doing that. The City Club is a vital and important resource in our community. And any of you out there who are not already a member, let us know. We would love for you to join us. And it's a great place to be when we're able to socialize together. Last little tidbit, I want to share some really, really good news with you guys. For those of you who may not have seen the news cycle, the Prime Minister of Iceland just announced that they're going to be opening Iceland up to tourism again in June of this year, not next June. And so those of us in the travel community who still, I don't even know where to tell people to go right now. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have somewhere to send people when they want to go on vacation. So here in the United States, we're still recommending that you stay at home. But the good news is the rest of the world that's been impacted is starting to see some movement. And this will be great resources for us to see what they do and how they do it. So that when it's time for us to open up and we can all go out and be safe, that we'll be able to do it as well. So I was super, super excited to see that, especially because I've been stressed all week because I just signed a group contract for us to take a group to Iceland next June in 2021. And I was like, please don't make me work on this for a whole year. And then it not happen.
That's great news. That's great news.
Yeah, so really, really, obviously there's a lot of news out there. I'm sharing the good news. But there's some good news to be had. Okay, so to make our noodle balls, the first thing that you're going to need is we aren't from Texas, so our noodle bowls are big. So you're going to need your 2 noodle bowls. You're going to need to preheat your oven to 425, and mine's been preheating. And I'm going to make a combo noodle bowl. So I'm actually going to do, my favorite is a pork noodle bowl with spring rolls. And so I'm not a spring roll maker. So I go to Costco like everybody else, and I get their frozen spring rolls. And we've got 10 little spring rolls here, and these are going to go into a 425 oven for 20 to 25 minutes. So I'm going to pop them in right now. The key to this recipe is really the timing of doing everything all together. We'll share this video next week if you need to go back and look. But the key to it is having everything really, really organized, because it all cooks together. That's what makes it a challenge for me. But it's a lot of fun. So the next thing we want to do is we need a cold bowl of water. And you're going to take whatever noodle that you choose. We have used we've used the vermicelli noodles before, and those are really good. They're very fine, and they're really clear. We've also used
they're like glass noodles.
They're like glass noodles. They're a lot like glass noodles.
Yeah.
Today I'm actually going to be using Canton style egg noodles.
We've also used lo mein.
We've also used lo mein. You can use lo mein or chow mein noodles, but these are the noodles I'm going to use. And what's really cool is that's your noodle pouch. Isn't that fun? So I'm making 2 bowls. So I'm going to pull out 2 noodle bowl pouches, and we're just going to place these in our cold water, and we're going to let it sit. It needs to sit for at least 3 to 5 minutes. So we're going to set that aside. And then what I want to do is I want to get the water boiling for my noodle bowl. So I've just taken a saucepan. Or sauce pot. You don't really need, a stock pot if you're just doing 2 servings, because your noodle servings are going to be, about a cup. It's not going to be a huge serving of noodles. So I've got just water, and I've already put a little bit of salt in here. For those of you who don't know, by putting salt in your water, it actually allows it to boil a little bit faster. So, that's a little chef trick that we use, is throwing stuff in there. The next thing I want to do is I want to get our pork started. Now, one of the things that I love about this recipe is you can use leftovers. So you can use a leftover chicken, leftover pork, leftover steak to make a noodle bowl. Or another thing that I like to do is I actually think of like the days of the week ahead to plan our meals. And so if I'm going to cook pork chops on Monday and we're going to have noodle bowls on Tuesday, I'll cook an extra couple of pork chops on Monday so we can have pork noodle bowls. And I don't usually do 2 days in a row the same protein, but let's say I did it on Monday and then I did the noodle bowl on Friday. I would already have the pork cooked, and you would just take it and chop it up and throw it in your noodle bowl. But we're going to cook our pork. So I've got 2 bone-in pork chops, and I've already seasoned these and let them, I thawed them this morning, seasoned them, and then put them back in the fridge to just let the seasoning soak in. And what I've used is Montreal steak seasoning, just a little bit of Montreal steak, which is basically black pepper, salt, and garlic. And then I've used, from my favorite store, my Chipotle honey. Where is it? Here it is. From our local Stone House at the Ferry Building, or in Napa. If you're up in Napa, I've got the Chipotle honey blend. And I'm going to show you what it looks like in a second. But this has basically got chili, chipotle, oregano, garlic, coriander, cumin, sea salt, orange peel, honey, black pepper, hickory salt, and brown sugar in it. It is like delicious. I love this on chicken. I love it on pork.
Philip, is anything in the Ferry Building open right now?
So actually, on Saturday, the stores. So some stores are opening Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Basically, if the farmers market is open, the stores may or may not be open. I think most of the coffee places are opening in the morning. For sure, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, there's quite a bit open.
Stonehouse is only on Saturday.
Stonehouse is only open on Saturday during the farmers market, but they are open on Saturday. So you can pop in and get this.
Hey,
You can also order it online and they'll mail it to you.
I was just going to say, at the farmer's market. Sorry, Philip.
No,
The
you're good.
bread company, Acme, is open every
Yes.
day. And that
Yep.
really good empanada place is
The
open
banana
every
place,
day.
yeah, they've been open for about
Yeah.
a week or a couple of weeks. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Sorry to
there's
interrupt.
so no, you're good. So if you, I will just say, if you've not been down to the Ferry Building, you need to get your exercise anyway. The weather's been beautiful. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, the farmers market's there. They've got it set up to where you can social distance and go get your stuff from the farmers market. We're still buying our fresh flowers there on Saturday. And then I've already got my list for Stonehouse for this Saturday, because I'm gonna have to go refresh my stuff, some of my spices. So
And the grocery store inside the farmer's market is open. And most importantly, the wine store is open every day.
yes, and the wine store will actually deliver to some buildings too. So, yeah, so there's a lot of, and today too, we walked down the Embarcadero and Red's Java Hut is open for takeout. And then what is the bar next to that? The cocktail bar that's next to it. The High Dive is open. As of today, they're open for takeout. So, so things are starting to, we're starting to see a little bit of activity. And then for those of you who are anywhere near where we are, downtown, the Prospect and Boulevard are doing takeout weekly. They're doing at least 2 days, if not 3. And you can order in advance and then come pick up your meals, and then you just warm them when you get home. So really, really great. Okay, so we're gonna take our pork chops, and I'm typically what I will do to cook a pork chop is I'll do 2 pads of butter and a tablespoon, if that much, of oil. And just let it melt in the pan a little bit. Y'all can kind of see I've already melted. And then we're gonna add our pork chops. And we're just gonna let our pork chops cook while we're doing all of our other fun stuff here. And y'all will have to, I had to switch the camera a little bit, so when I'm washing my hands, y'all won't be able to see me, but here I am. We've got our pork chops going. We're waiting for our water to stop boiling for our noodles. And what we want to do now is we want to get our broth for the base of our noodle bowl together. And so I'm going to use vegetable broth because we're doing pork chops. If I was doing chicken, I would use chicken broth. If I was doing beef, I'd use beef broth. If you don't have anything else in the house, it really doesn't make that much difference.
Philip, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
The stove, how high is the flame? I mean, is it high, medium?
On the pork chop?
Yeah.
It's about, I usually start them about 3/4 to high. So you're going to be between, it's probably a medium high. So about 3/4 of the way. And then I'll turn it down to about 2/3 after the pan gets warm and I get a good color on them. Okay. So you basically, you don't want to cook them too fast because I'm going to cook the pork chops just in the skillet. And if you cook them too fast, the inside won't get done. But I do want to get a nice little char on the outside of the pork chop because I like that texture, especially inside the noodle bowl. When you've got your soft little noodles and your liquid, and then you've got a little bit of gristle on that pork chop. So, so I would go with, I wish I could, it's literally 3/4 of the way to high. And I'll show you the flame. So there you go. And then basically we're gonna do the same thing on the broth. We want to be able to bring the broth to a boil so that all the flavors will soak in. And then also it kind of helps towards the end. It warms up your bowl when you pour the broth in towards the end, and you've got a nice, piping hot dinner. So I'm going to do 2 bowls. So you're going to do 1 cup for however many bowls you want to do. This recipe that you're seeing is for 2 bowls. So I'm going to do 2 cups of broth. Oh, I wish you guys could smell this.
Sorry, that was me.
Pork chops. No. No, I wish you could smell how wonderful these pork chops smell. Oh,
Hey, Philip, what about sausages like, pork sausage or bratwurst or something? Could you repurpose that in a bowl?
Absolutely. You can, you literally can use any protein you want or no protein. It depends on, you could do it with tofu. You could do it, the one thing I will say is because it's a noodle bowl, you're gonna have the flavor from the broth, but you want to make sure that whatever protein you're using, that you season it well, just to give it that excitement when you bite into it in the noodle bowl. So I would say go heavier on the seasoning on your protein so that it translates over into the bowl. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah, cool. So so I turned on my broth to get it up to boil. So that's 2 cups of broth. I'm gonna add a little bit of juice, depending on what you're doing. You know, I either use a lemon juice, a lime juice, or orange juice. Because pork is a more, you know, it's kind of a middle of the road protein. I'm gonna kind of go with a middle of the road juice. So if it was something that needed a little bit more kick to it, like chicken, I would probably use like a lime juice just to give the chicken that extra, you know, the broth, that extra little kick. But I want kind of a nice smooth palate in this bowl. And so I'm gonna use a little bit of orange juice. And then I'm gonna add my toasted sesame oil.
Yum.
Which is my favorite.
And then I'm gonna add my soy sauce.
And how much soy sauce are you using?
Have you got the recipe there? My recipe went away. Oh, okay, let me get that. They got the recipe though. I think it's a tablespoon. And then my next one is, yes, so you're gonna use a tablespoon of juice, 2 tablespoons of toasted sesame oil, and then you're gonna do 1 to 1.5 tablespoons of soy sauce. And then I'm also adding another one of my favorite spices is Pinsies, and this is called Forward. So it's got a lot of really interesting spices in it, and I just think it's great for a noodle bowl. So this one has extra bold black pepper, onion, paprika, garlic, turmeric, and then spice extratives, including oleo resin. I'm sorry, I'm reading without my glasses. Oleo resin of celery, rosemary, black pepper, thyme, basil, and paprika. And I mean, I love Pinsies for a whole lot of reasons, but you know, if I'm not using Stonehouse, I'm probably using Pinsy. That's what's in my kitchen. And so, thank you. So we're gonna add that. And we basically just want to let our broth start boiling. And then I also like to add, I'm a gingerophile. So I love fresh ginger. I'll put fresh ginger on almost anything. And so I also add fresh ginger to this recipe. And you know, this is obviously more than what's in the recipe because we like bold flavors. And this is our dinner tonight. So, you go with your comfort level. You know, I would say probably, you know, a tablespoon. You know, this is probably a little more than 2 tablespoons, and that may be a bit, you know, strong for some people, but it's just perfect for me. So, and I've just taken fresh ginger and used a little grater and grated my fresh ginger. I'm gonna add that in.
Philip, can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
So when I enjoy Vietnamese noodle soup, there is a distinct, I'm calling it Vietnamese flavor, that I don't notice in Chinese or Indonesian food. What do you think that flavor is?
It could be a lot of it could be a lot of things, but most of the flavor that you're probably getting a hint of that you can't identify in any kind of Asian food is probably going to be either sesame or soy or ginger. So those and the combination of the 3 is just kind of, I don't know how to describe it, but when you start playing with them, you get flavors that you've never tasted before. That's one of the things that excited me about this recipe, is because I was like, oh my gosh, the broth is just as fun for me to make as the actual noodle bowl itself. Because you get, perfecting that broth really, really was it took me several times to get it to where I really, really liked it. But it's probably, either gingery, sesame oil, or soy that's the flavor you're trying to identify. But because it's mixed with other things, that's probably why you're not being able to do it. Soy has, kind of that salty, tart taste. And then sesame oil has a real hearty, smoky taste. And then the Pinzi spice, that's really where I think we get the body in the broth is from the spice blend that we're using with Pinzi. Was that helpful?
I joined late. So did you include lemongrass in your?
I didn't do lemongrass, but I did. So I did do orange juice, and so you can absolutely do lemongrass. I thought about that the first time I made the recipe, but I was kind of doing it from what I had at home, and I didn't have any lemongrass, so I just could have used stuff at home. But I think lemongrass would be wonderful.
Yeah. Any
Any of those Asian, I think if it's me, make it once, see how you like it, see what you would like to do with it, and then think, this is how I usually do it. I usually go, what could make this better? What can I add in here to make it better? And that's typically where I make my best discoveries. Can you grab my tongue? But lemongrass, I think, would be awesome.
It's not easy to get though, fresh lemongrass.
I missed that. Can you help me, son?
What was the question again?
No, I'm just saying, fresh lemongrass is not easy to get unless you go to Asian.
Yeah,
grocery
it's not
store.
easy. Fresh lemongrass isn't easy again unless you go to Beijing.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now, fresh everything is hard to get. So my broth has started boiling, and so now I'm going to turn it down and let it simmer. But I'll just let you guys kind of, do you want some more volume? That would be great.
Delicious.
Yeah, so that's your broth. Oh, it smells so good.
We gotta
And
get
then-
that smell-o-vision add-on to Zoom.
Yeah,
I know. We need to be able to scratch and
We
sniff,
need to
right?
upgrade, Marie. Let's look into that.
Okay.
Right?
Smell of it. I
We're
need
all
smell.
drooling
We need
here.
smell-o-vision.
Now I gotta catch it.
Where's Wonka Vision? So, and our water has started to boil as well. Yum! So we're going to take our noodle.
I'm super jealous. I really want this.
It's really, you guys, this is a really, really great meal. We love it. And these noodles, it says 3 minutes, but 3 minutes is actually if you're going to use them in a stir fry. So what I have found, and I'll show you when it happens, the little blocks of noodles, they're going to sit in there and they'll boil, and eventually they'll start boiling with the water. And when it gets to the right, you can tell by the way they'll actually start rolling opposite each other. And when they start doing that, you give it like another minute and they're done. So it's pretty funny. I'll try to be able to, to show you guys what it looks like. This is the sear we're getting on the pork chop.
Gorgeous.
Aren't those pretty? Yeah. So, real quickly, what we want to do is we want to check our egg rolls and just see how they're doing. And they're doing really, really well. I'm going to ask my assistant to come in here and turn the egg rolls for me.
I am nobody's assistant. I am a sous
My
chef.
sous chef.
Speaking of television, did anyone see Tina Fey talking to moms?
When Tina Fey what?
Tina Fey was talking to moms for Mother's Day, and she said, "Repeat after me, moms. I smell fine."
I smell what?
I smell fine. Just
Fine. Fine. That's so funny.
moms trapped at home. It was just really funny.
Yeah, Tina Fey is just hysterical. I'm loving the Allstate commercials with her and what do they call them?
Oh, they're so good.
Chaos.
Mayhem.
You're the old lady.
Mayhem.
You're an old lady.
Yeah, mayhem has become my new favorite term for things.
Because you're married to him.
Kevin said because you're married to him.
Right, I heard that. He's from Law and Order SVU. He's great.
We're gonna throw these back in the oven for about, why don't we set a timer for 5 minutes on those? That's about right. Throw those back in the oven. I'm gonna check my pork chops again real quick and see how they're doing. These are looking very good. Okay, I'm gonna flip this around. See if we can get more heat on this one. The other thing that I would say about this recipe is it's also something that you could do in a group, like if, when we get to socialize again, or if you've got people at home and y'all are bored to tears and you're trying to figure out what you can do as a group activity. This is a great group activity because you can have lots of hands in the kitchen and everybody have their own little spot, not drive anybody crazy, and make dinner together. So this is a great, make dinner with your kids. This is great. Make dinner with your boyfriend or your girlfriend.
Oh, trust, as soon as we can, I'm gonna be over there for dinner.
Make dinner with your gunkles.
Yes.
For Margot. Oh, funny. So
Go
funny.
to Phillips and have Philip make it for you.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Usually that's what people usually do. Is they usually come into our house, they sit at the table and they drink while I cook dinner. And that's totally okay. Totally okay. But it's always lots and lots of fun. Can you guys
You're the perfect host.
Y'all can't see the noodles, but I'll show y'all I'll bring these over. You can kind of see how they're
Hold them up a little higher.
Yeah, they floated to the top. And so now we're gonna let them start boiling. And when they do, I'll show them to you again when they start spinning. Because that's kind of your little, and you just want to manage your stuff and make sure you got it on good temperatures. I'm gonna go ahead and turn off our block. I think it's done. Were you happy with the smell? Then go back in the fridge. Will you grab the veggies out for me when you do that? So this will take about, I would say about 3 to 5 minutes on the noodles, maybe 6 minutes. You just gotta kind of keep an eye on them. And then we'll start assembling it and then you're good to go. So this is literally one of those things where you assemble, boom, and then you're ready to go. The other thing that y'all may not have, that y'all saw on the list and you may not know what it is this is what I use for our veggies. I just get the tricolor slaw mix. And we just keep it in the fridge, and we use it for tacos. We use it for all sorts of stuff. But it's basically just broccoli, green cabbage, carrots, and red cabbage. So already prepped up for you. So we'll stick this over here.
Trader Joe's makes
I missed it. What do you use for protein?
Do I?
Makes a good broccoli slaw.
And I'll tell you, we were talking about, being mentioned that lemongrass is hard to get right now. I had a real challenge finding that slaw today. So, that's the other thing, living in the times that we're living in right now, you just kind of have to punt. So one of the reasons I like to throw recipes out there that are so versatile is that you can pretty much make these recipes work regardless of what you're able to get. You'll be able to find something to make them work. Are they good? Yeah, we're good. Do you think they're done? Cool. Awesome.
So Phil, I missed what you use for protein. What meat?
What was the question?
Which meat?
What meat do
Pork.
you use?
This is pork. So these are 2 bone-in pork chops. You can also use the not bone-in pork chops. They're kind of a little easier. This is just what I had. The not bone-in ones, I would actually cube them and then cook them cubed. These, I just cook bone-in and then I'll just cut it down. So that is ready. We've run my big cutting board for me. Our noodles are almost ready. I'm gonna have another sip of my cocktail.
Cheers.
I will too then.
Cheers.
Cheers.
To the City Club.
Cheers to you, Philip.
Aw, thank you.
And your soup.
And my Sue. I really go by Kevin. I'm not Sue.
You're Subu.
Right.
Oh, come on. Let's call him Sue.
Hey,
Sue-
Philip,
I
have you ever used the-
Kevin hasn't had a really good nickname since he lived in DC and they called him Hag.
This is true.
Come on, Sue's so good.
That's right. Sue is so metrosexual. We love it.
Oh, buddy. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to move over here a little bit so y'all can at least see me kind of. Yeah, I mean this is pretty simple. I mean you're just basically cutting up a pork chop. So you just want to get nice little bite-sized pieces. Oh, the cook on this is beautiful. Yeah. If you guys look at that, look at the cook on that pork. Isn't that beautiful?
Yes.
Yep. And that was the timer for the egg rolls. So I'm going to turn them off, pull them out, and let them cool down. I got okay. I'll make room for you. And there are our egg rolls, or spring rolls, sorry. And I'm gonna turn so my noodles are not rolling yet, so I'm gonna turn it up a little bit. If you see your noodles just floating on the top, then here we go. There we go.
And what's happening with that marinade that you made? Is that also like boiling in the background, or what's going on with that?
That one, I brought it to, I reduced it from a boil to a simmer, and then we let it simmer for a couple of minutes, and then we just turned it off because it was well. When you look at it, it'll if it's come together, if everything's come together and it's a solid color, that's when you know it's done. So this is that's what you want it to look like.
Yummy.
And then, all right, so now my noodles are rolling. I'm gonna see if I can get these rolling really good and then bring them over and show you what that looks like. Okay. Dang it, the minute I take them off, you can't see it. But y'all can kind of see how they're all spread out in there. But so when they start, they're rolling like in 2 clumps. And you want to we're gonna let that go until I get the pork chops cut down, and then the noodles will be done.
They look very noodly.
They are. It's we've tried, like we were saying before, we've tried several different kinds of noodles, and it's really just kind of that the bowls are always good. It's really kind of your personal, whatever floats your boat on the noodles. We haven't found a noodle that isn't good, but this is kind of, so far this is our favorite. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. These are what are they? They're the Reaper.
These are it's in Canton style egg noodles.
Yeah, Canton style egg noodles, and you just get it at that little there's always an aisle at the grocery store that has your ethnic foods on it, and you'll find a whole aisle of Asian noodles. And I would just grab a pack and try it. See how you like it. It's not going to cost you a lot of money to try it, and if you don't like it, just ask somebody if they like noodles, and if they do, give them away. But that's what we've done. We haven't found a noodle that we really don't like. But I've always used Asian noodles. I haven't tried any Italian pasta.
I also have never come across a noodle I didn't like.
Yeah.
Oh God, I'm obsessed with carbs.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Kevin's never met a carb he doesn't like either.
Phil, the pork chop looks delicious, but
thank you. It's
so
really.
But why do you choose pork chop as opposed to all the other meats?
I make this with all the others too. So So the reason I actually decided I wanted to try this recipe is years and years ago when I lived in Austin, Texas, there was a restaurant called Susie's Cuisine. And Susie, was this wonderful Asian lady, and she had the most incredible noodle bowls in her restaurant. And I used to eat there at least once a week. And when when I started playing around a little bit more with food, since we started this shelter in place more than I normally do, I was really missing my noodle bowl. And I was like, I want a noodle bowl. You know, where can I get one? And we looked around, and I couldn't really order one that I liked. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to make it. And so I started playing around, and I came up with this recipe. So it's, you know, but I've done it with pork. I've done it with steak. I've done it with chicken. I've done, you know, I haven't done it with tofu because Kevin's not a big tofu person really. But I would think that it would be easy to do. You would definitely want to season your tofu really well, which is of course always the fun part of tofu. But there's not shrimp. We've done it with shrimp. It's really, really good with shrimp. So there's really any protein you want. You know, the big thing is just, you know, pick your protein and go from there. The other thing I would say is always pick your protein first, because then you want to pick things that are going to complement it. You know, you probably want to use beef broth with steak, and you probably want to use chicken broth with chicken. You know, other meats are a little more forgiving, but those, you know, I wouldn't say it would be bad, but you would probably be like, this broth and this meat don't really, you know, gel well if you were putting chicken broth in with, you know, steak or something. So, you know, I always try to kind of, you know, think about, it's like pairing a wine. You know, when you're thinking about what to serve with dinner, you want to do the same thing when you're looking at ingredients. You want to think, you know, what's going to be a good complement to that? What flavor, you know, would add something to this dish? So I'm always looking to elevate something. That's actually where Living Richly got its name. A lot of people thought, oh, you're that like Robin Leach, and it's going to be all about what rich people can do. And I'm like, no, I wouldn't do that because I'm not rich. And so, number two,
You're not? I'm
you know,
out of here.
number two, you know,
Oh,
I've managed to have a very enriched life without being really, really rich. And so for me, that's, you know, the whole concept of Living Richly. There's our noodles. The whole concept of Living Richly grew out of the desire to have an enriched life, you know, without having, you know, millions of dollars to pay for it. And so it's pretty funny because I get that question a lot. People are like, where did you come up with that name and why? And that's where it came from. And it's really, really genuine to me because it's pretty much my mantra. I am constantly looking for a way to enrich something. So either a plate of food or an event or you know, or life in general. So that's, you know, if there was such thing as enrichment-preneur, I would be an enrichment-preneur.
And it looks like you're getting a free complimentary facial there too, while you're making the is enriching the whole experience for all of us. I'm so jealous.
It is actually, it's part of your meal. It's a facial, and if the noodles would walk my dogs, it would be so nice.
I just want to bite of that damn pork chop. Me and the dog, we just want a scrap.
Just a scrap. Just a scrap.
One little nibble.
These pork chops, let me tell you, that's gonna be some tasty goodness. So you'll notice I'm gonna do the egg rolls a couple of different ways. I'm gonna take 5 of them and chop them up because I like to put my egg rolls in my bowl with everything else. And Kevin doesn't like soggy egg rolls, and which I manage to keep them on top, and it works well for me. But he likes his on the side. So I'm going to just cut these egg rolls into thirds. I keep calling them egg rolls, and they're really spring rolls.
Yeah, they're
Kevin,
they're
every
veggies,
single
right?
thing that Philip says you like, I like.
Well, I have a long-standing relationship with carbs, and you know, I hate to say it, but it started with my mom. She started it.
Okay, so we've got everything ready to go. So now what we're going to do is start assembling our bowls. So the first thing I want to do is I want to take half of our noodles.
I can tell, are those egg or rice noodles?
These are, they're Canton style egg noodles. Canton style egg noodles. And you just want to kind of get them evenly distributed in your bowls.
And rice noodles will work fine though.
Yeah, we've used vermicelli. We've used, I mean, anything that,
Noodles,
yeah, anything Asian can pretty much be, I mean, I haven't found one that you can't do this yet, but pretty much anything Asian can be boiled, and you can either stir fry with it or you can do other things with it. And so if you're doing a noodle bowl, you want to boil it a little longer because you're not going to be cooking it more. So you just kind of have to play with it to taste. But I mean, other than that, it's super, super easy to deal with.
And
So you
if
start.
you only have linguine, it wouldn't kill it.
Say that again, Gwen.
If in a pinch, if you only had linguine, you could fake it.
Oh, so I haven't done that yet, but I don't see why not, right?
Right. I mean, if you're home stuck during a pandemic and you only have Italian noodles, just put some ginger in there and call them.
I haven't tried that.
Yeah, your spaghetti noodles, your vermicelli, all that stuff. I mean, just whatever. And any noodle. I mean, a noodle bowl doesn't have to be like spaghetti noodle type stuff. It can be any kind of noodle. So absolutely, if you've got, use what you've got. The only thing that concerns me about the Italian noodles is I'm not sure how they'll sit in the broth. But if somebody does it, let me know. And I'm going to do it at some point and find out. My concern would be that if they sat in the broth, they might disintegrate. But I don't see why they would. And then we're going to take about a cup of the veggies and place on top of the noodles. So it looks like this. And then we're going to get our broth ready. We're going to put our pork on. So I'm going to take half the pork chops and put here.
Wow, that looks amazing.
Doesn't this look good?
Sure does, Phil.
So hungry.
And I'll tell you, you don't, honestly, you do not need, this is just the pork is fine. I just, I can't get away from a spring roll. So I just had to add the spring rolls.
He feels about spring rolls like I do about carbs and cheese.
Yep. So now what you want to do is you just want to toss it back in the refrigerator, please. There you go. Just every time you get ready to spoon this out, you want to stir it because you've got your ginger in there and you don't want all of your ginger to go into one scoop because that'll make your bowl really, really gingery. But you just spoon it out over everything. So you want to drench everything in the broth. I don't know why this looks like so much more broth.
I was just going to say that.
I wonder if I doubled it. Oh, I might have. Oh well. All right, so we've got your broth. So this is what it should look like. And then you just take your egg rolls and place them on top. Spring rolls. I'll eventually get it right. Whatever. And you've got your pork spring roll noodle bowl. And then Kevin's will look like this.
I like to dip the spring rolls in the broth.
Yeah, so on Kevin's, I just actually do them on the side.
I missed whether you made those or you got those.
No, I did Costco.
No.
Yeah, Costco spring rolls.
I'm not that brave yet.
So there is your Oodles of Noodles bowls.
Delicious.
Bam.
Yum.
So, questions?
Beautiful.
Thank you. Anybody got any questions?
How much do you charge?
I just
How
would
much-
say there's so many, you could put, like, you could use up veggies, whatever you've got. You could shred up some carrots, you could shred up some chives, you could shred up some green onions, you could shred up cabbage or whatever
You know,
you fridge.
you can also do, if you've got one of these, if you don't have one, you should get one. I don't even remember the name of it, but it's a julienne maker.
Oh.
So this is a little julienne tool, and you can take this and use it on zucchini. And so you could do little strips of zucchini. You could do strip, you know, but the little strip, I think the strips make it fun and pretty. You know what I mean? But you know, all you just need is a little julienne tool. But literally, this is what I tell people. If you're thinking about doing this recipe, if you want to do it once the way I do it, just to get yourself comfortable, then use the recipe that I've got for you, and try it. But then what I would say is, I want you to think about what are the things that you like the most? What are the things that taste the best to you? And then think about, if I put them all together in a noodle bowl, would that work? And then just try it. You know, the biggest sin that people make, I think, is that they're afraid to try. And I mean, I never would have had a cooking demo every week on a television show had I not tried stuff, you know, because I'm not, you know, I've had some really great teachers like Stephen Piles and Dean Fearing and Kent Rathburn. You know, I grew up in Dallas, and I was very fortunate to be growing up in the time when I could go get cooking lessons from people like that. But I mean, you know, from a standpoint of, it's not like I'm a culinary graduate. I didn't go to the CIA. You know, I'm just somebody who is adventurous and brave. And I just won't, you know, like food is enough. I love food enough that I'm not afraid to try to throw something together. And you should too. You know, you should enjoy it as well.
If you get that yummy broth that has all those good Asian flavors, then you take those leftover proteins and just go. And I would also, you could put a fried egg on that.
Oh, absolutely.
I would be putting sriracha on.
The steak one with a fried egg on top. Oh, Gwen.
Squeeze sriracha all over it.
Oh, yeah. I've always got sriracha. But yeah, exactly.
Delicious.
Delicious, I tell you. It's fabulous. We should write that one up.
When we get the club open, we're gonna have a noodle bowl making contest night.
I am so excited. Let me just tell you, I like the idea of all of us getting together at the club and cooking together is like so like
it's so fun. This makes me so excited.
I think it would be a blast. I think, and especially when you think about
the noodle bowl is the first one we do.
Cool. It's easy. You know, it's easy. It's not that complicated, and people could definitely do it. I think it's a great idea.
Everyone can kind of do their own personality. It seems like one of those things, it's a little bit like making those gingerbread houses where it's like,
so I can make
give the ingredients and then you make your own.
Yeah, you put out the ingredients, and I'm going to use steak, and I'm going to use chicken, and I'm going to use shrimp, and I'm going to, you know, I'm going to mine, and it's going to be disgusting, and everyone else will talk about me later. And I can't wait.
Hey, let me tell you, I have made some stinkers in my time. Like,
Mine would definitely involve carbs and potatoes, and you know, it definitely would.
Kevin's trying to figure out how to make a bowl with just carbs.
Right, delicious.
I'm just gonna make a big bowl of mashed potatoes.
But I've invited people to dinner and literally thrown the dinner in the trash and called a delivery service and gone to the table and said, "Our dinner's gonna be a few minutes late." And then the doorbell rang, and I was like, "Our dinner's here." Yeah. And they're like, we thought you were cooking dinner, and I was like, I am not serving that. So,
we had a famous turkey incident in my family on a Christmas Eve, where that was the Christmas Eve where we had Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Right, exactly.
But we still remember. My mom had a problem with the turkey.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there's nothing wrong with just chalking up and saying, okay, well, you know, that ain't gonna happen. You know, it's just the way it is. You know, you're not, you know, it's like Dyson. You know, he didn't get a really good vacuum until he made like 5,000 of them. So, you know, it's just one of those things. Food is something to be enjoyed, and it's something to be adventurous with. You know, the more adventurous you are with your food, the more happy you're going to be with the flavors you discover.
Mhm.
Yeah.